Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. And in this lesson, which begins a new section, I'm going to show you about something called Xpath queries. And it's basically a way for us to filter events before they even arrive at the collector. So we can tell our WinCollect agent to filter events on the machine side, on the endpoint side. So in order to do that, we have to open our WinCollect management console from our Windows machine and go to local sources, select our source, and then let's say, for example, I want to filter some security events. Click on security. I can click on, and then I would have to change it from security to Xpath, as you can see. However, I don't have to do that. I can also leave it in security, enable filter, and then I can type here a list of event IDs that I want to be sent. So this is a whitelist, right? Every different event ID that I type here, only from that list is going to be sent to QRadar. However, if I want to use Xpath queries, I can select them here, and then, for example, I have this query, and you can find multiple examples online, or you can type it with me from the screen. But basically, you have to create a tag called query list, right? And then you close it, and then query ID equals 0 is your first one, and then the path is security. So the path is going to be the event viewer path, right? So if I go to my event viewer, I see that I have security here. So that's the path that I have to type in the query itself. And you have different kinds of paths, and based on the event source that you want to collect on, you would have to change the path to the relevant one. So if I would, for example, want to collect PowerShell events, I would have to give it a different path that match PowerShell, and a quick online search can give you a list of paths for each source that you want to collect from. But for our example, I'm going to keep it security, right? And then you have to open a select path tag from security, and then a greater than sign star. And then from the system property of every event log, go and find a property called event ID. And if the event ID is equals that, or that, or that, or that, or any of those, then we choose to include them. And we can also use ranges, right? So if you have a large range, we can do parentheses, event ID, ampersand GT, semicolon, equals the start of the range, and then the same, and event ID ampersand LT equal semicolon equals the end of the range. And if you get too confused by this is totally understandable. You can go ahead to the event viewer and click on filter current log. And if I give it a list of event IDs, right, and then a range, I can do a range And if I go and click on XML, it's going to generate the query for me, right? So I can just copy this and paste it here. And now we can see that it's changed to Windows PowerShell, right? So you can select any source that you want, and then you can define the ranges of your event IDs, and then you can go to XML, which will generate this for you, and you can copy and paste it here, and then WinCollect is going to forward only those events that you specify to QRadar. So if you have Windows sources, you can do that, and the current modern best practice is to forward all of your Windows logs to a Windows event forwarding server. It's called a WEF, W-E-F server. And from that, you create a subscription with a unified Xpath query, which basically applies to all of the incoming Windows logs. But this is a bit advanced for the scope of the course. There's a lot of online resources about it, and they're going to make your understanding better. But for our current scope, since we're dealing with only one Windows endpoint, we can do that manually. And we've seen how we can basically supply a list of events, and anything that is not one of those event IDs is not going to be sent to QRadar, right? So then we'd have to click on save, and it would apply the changes after you confirm them. At the top right, there's going to be a button here. So actually go ahead and do that, right? It's going to tell you there's new pending changes, and you can click apply changes. I'm just going to discard them for now. So this is it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.